Yo, YouTube, how are you guys doing today? It is a beautiful Friday. The sun is shining, the birds are singing. I'm in a good mood. I hope you guys are too. Today's video is going to be a little different than my normal content. Normally, I'm out here talking about characters, giving you a full in-depth review of them. But today, I kind of wanted to switch gears a little bit and talk about something else. Today, I wanted to talk about Haki, one of the power systems in the universe of One Piece, and how it applies to people and essentially just what it is in general, because I realized I'm throwing around the term Haki, Conquerors, Observation, Armament, Advanced, and I realized some of you may not know what that is. So I thought I would do a little video today to, tell you guys what Haki is. So, a little bit of overview on Haki before I break it down into each three forms and all of that. So, Haki is a mysterious power that allows the user to utilize their own spiritual energy for various purposes. It can be used to sense people's spiritual energy and predict their actions, give the user a protective coating of spiritual energy, and for a certain group of chosen ones, overpower the wills of others. All living things in the world are capable of learning Haki, however, most people do not notice or fail to awaken it at all. Alright, so we're going to start off with Armament Haki. Now, Armament Haki is a form of Haki that allows the user to use their own spiritual energy to create, in essence, an invisible armor around themselves, providing incredibly offensive and defensive capabilities. Notably, this form of Haki can be used to injure Devil Fruit users that are otherwise immune to ordinary physical attacks, such as Logia users, and then specifically Luffy, who is rubber, whose normal attacks don't work on him. In Wano country, Armament Haki is known as Ryo, literally meaning flowing sakura, founded on the concept of inner flow. Now, some background. It was first used by Garp against Luffy to bypass Luffy's Devil Fruit powers and hurt him at the end of the Water 7 arc. Later on the Sabaody Archipelago, Sentomaru used Armament Haki to attack Luffy, which made the Straw Hat Pirates think that he was a Devil Fruit user due to their lack of knowledge about this ability. Afterwards, Rayleigh used Armament Haki to stop Kizaru and even touched his Logia body. The concept of using Haki to harden weapons was first shown by the Kuja, who were wielding Haki-imbued arrows. During the Summit War of Marineford, Armament Haki was also used many times by Marines and pirates alike. It was shown that Armament Haki is very common in the New World, unlike in Paradise, where Haki users are fairly rare and almost nobody knows about it. It is later explained by Rayleigh once he began training Luffy. Now, some of the known Armament Haki users, starting with pirates. We have Silver's Rayleigh, most of the Kuja. Kuzan, also known as Aokiji, who is now a pirate. Marco, Jozu, Boa, Hancock, Shanks, Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, Trafalgar, Deepwater Law, Doflamingo, Jesus Burgess, Bellamy, Dracula Mihawk, Charlotte Cracker, Charlotte Katakuri, Jinbei, Big Mom, Marshall D. Teach, Diamante, Cavendish, Edward Weevil, Daifuku, Who's Who, Queen, Jack, King, Page One, Black Maria, Killer, Ben Beckman, Lucky Roo, Edward Newgate, also known as Whitebeard, Portcast D. Ace, and Gold D. Roger. Now, some of the Marines. It is listed that all Marines above the rank of Vice Admiral have the capabilities of using Haki, so the list is going to be very long, so I'll just shorten it down to notable names, such as Monkey D. Garp, Sentomaru, Borsalino, Sakazuki, Smoker, X-Drake, Fujitora, Suru Sengoku, Bastille, Kobe, Aramaki, and Momonga. Aramaki, I believe, is Green Bull. And then we have some world government members, specifically the members of CP9, Rob Lucy, Stussy, Kaku, Jabra, Blueno, Kumadori, Fukudo, and Khalifa. And then we have the Samurai of Wano. Most of them are able to use Haki, at least the ones that are in the anime, like Kinemon, Hyogoro, Inurashi, Nekomamushi, Kawamatsu, Kikunoju, Denjiro, Reizo, Ryuma, Odin, Shimotsuki Ushimaru, Ashura Doji, and Kurozomi Kanjudo. They are all able to use it. In the Revolutionary Army, we have Sabo, Morley, Belobedi, Lindbergh, and Karasu. And then we have a listed category of others. We have people like Don Chinjiao, Sai, Boo, Vinsmoke Judge, and Pedro, who is a mink. Now, the usages of armament Haki. This type of Haki allows its user to augment their body via their own spiritual energy, greatly increasing their power and resilience. Because of this, this form of Haki is the most used in combat. This Haki is often referred to as an invisible armor. Now, basic techniques of armament Haki. There is a degree of ambiguity around the nature of basic armament Haki usage. Hardening was not shown until after the time skip, and so prior to that, the coating of the user's body parts and weapons was completely invisible. Since the time skip, however, nearly every usage of armament Haki has been explicitly involved using visible hardening. Most of the ambiguous cases being with characters who wear dark clothing or use darkened weapons, which make it difficult to tell in the black and white manga. Even characters who used invisible armament Haki before the time skip have been shown using visible hardening in the 2 years following. As of now, it is still unknown whether there are any functional differences between armament Haki usage before and after the time skip beyond the difference in appearance. In general, despite looking different and occasionally having a new degree of activation, the basic technique of armament Haki works very much the same way after the time skip as it did before. Now, specifically talking about hardening. It is the most basic application of armament Haki. The user clads their desired body part with the coating, which is mostly black, but can also have shadings of different colors, particularly in the manga. The color varies among users, with Monkey D. Luffy being shown to have a red tint and Charlotte Katakuri being shown to have a light blue one. With hardening, the affected body part becomes stronger in terms of both offense and defense. Hardening increases one's attack power by a considerable amount, allowing the user's blows to become tremendously destructive and dangerous. Defensively, hardening serves as an armor which can safeguard the user from a great amount of attacks, particularly ones which are not clad in Haki themselves. For example, Luffy was able to intercept Rebecca's blunt sword with a Haki-covered forehead and shatter it. Excuse me. Users are capable of hardening as much of their body as they wish until they are fully coated. However, the more extensive coating will lead to the Haki being depleted faster. Particularly strong concentrations of armament Haki in the body will cause the edges of the coating to take the shape of flames. Luffy, Big Mom, and Katakuri have been shown with flame-shaped hardening. The necessary process to attain this is currently unknown. Notably, while this shape has been shown appearing for Luffy and Katakuri, when they are performing their strongest attacks, Big Mom generated a flame-shaped coating while casually blocking an attack from Luffy, kind of showing, at that point in the anime, the big skill difference in their base armament Haki levels. Although armament Haki hardening is extremely tough, it is not impenetrable, as strong attacks using weaker armament Haki, or even none at all, have been proven to be able to overwhelm hardening defenses. Typically, though, if two people with different levels of armament Haki clash using Haki, the one with the greater degree of armament Haki will break through the other's defenses and hurt them. Given that this is not invulnerable, hardening can be strengthened through training and fighting against people with stronger degrees of armament Haki. Now, part 2 of the techniques is imbuement, being able to imbue weapons and fists with your Haki. Now, armament Haki users can also imbue their hardening into any object they touch, thus allowing them to give their weapons the same boosts as they do their own body. Imbued weapons gain a new degree of offensive power, with one example being the Kuja warriors' imbued arrows being able to blast through solid stone. Defensively, imbuing Haki into a weapon prevents it from being damaged as easily and increases its lifespan. Dracula Mihawk, the strongest swordsman in the world, strongly believes in the importance of constantly imbuing one's sword with armament Haki to prevent the blade from chipping. That is one of the main things he taught Zoro during the 2-year time skip. Now, if projectile weapons are imbued with Haki, the projectile will remain hardened even after it is launched away from the user's body. This has been shown with arrows and bullets, and even body parts detached via Devil Fruit powers. Notably, some Devil Fruit users have displayed the ability to imbue their armament Haki onto detached entities without needing to make physical contact with them first. Uniquely, the Great Grade Meito Enma is capable of drawing out its wielder's armament Haki without consent, forcing hardening. This, however, poses a great challenge to its wielder, who must tame it to keep their Haki from being excessively drained and to keep it from either weakening or killing them. Now, some advanced techniques of armament haki. We have emission. Sufficiently skilled users of armament haki are capable of letting their power flow out from a part of their body, usually their hand, and emitting it over a short distance without a medium to carry it. This allows the user to unleash a small invisible burst which will knock back anything in the aforementioned body part's immediate vicinity with the force of a very powerful punch. Thus, the user becomes capable of striking and harming people and objects without making physical contact with them. Given Luffy's comments about it in Wano country, emitting armament haki appears to be more powerful than simply using hardening as is, which is why he worked to develop the technique after his basic hardening attacks did nothing to Kaido earlier on. On Rusukaina, Silver's Rayleigh was shown to be able to repel the leg of a stomping elephant and knock the creature onto the ground. The ability would be a contributing factor to Luffy's victory over Kaido when the Emperor created a fiery version of his beast form during their final battle to prevent Luffy from touching him. Luffy was able to counter this by using emission in his final technique to defeat him. So far, Sentomaru, Marigold, Kuzan, Sakazuki, Borsalino, Rayleigh, Hyogoro, Kawamatsu, Luffy, Roger, Whitebeard, Kaido, and Big Mom have been seen emitting their haki. Now, we also have internal destruction, one of the, in my opinion, one of the strongest forms of armament haki. A step above the emitting armament haki is having it flow into target's body and destroy it from the inside out, which can be done by touching, grabbing, or even emitting haki towards the object. Against opponents, this technique wreaks tremendous internal damage and is currently the most destructive known armament haki technique. This technique is also useful against objects which cannot be broken easily, as in 3 separate instances, Rayleigh and Luffy were shown to be using this ability to rip off exploding collars and cuffs fast enough to throw them aside before they detonated. Luffy was later shown destroying a tree from inside using a mission in which he caused part of the tree to burst into little pieces just by holding his fist out at it. Notably, the part of the tree that burst apart was on the opposite side from where Luffy was standing. So far, only Rayleigh and Luffy have explicitly demonstrated internal destruction capabilities. Alright, and now we're going to talk about the interactions of armament haki with devil fruit users. Now, armament haki is capable of bypassing bodily defenses granted by devil fruits, such as Logia's intangibility or Paramecia's bodily modifications, allowing the haki user to land a blow on the devil fruit user's substantial body beneath the devil fruit defenses. However, unlike Sea Stone, armament haki does not actually nullify the devil fruit power. Instead, it forces the devil fruit user's body to solidify. Notably, using armament haki attacks on an element controlled by a Logia type devil fruit user will allow the attack to harm the substantial body of the devil fruit user, since the element is essentially the extension of their body. However, this will not harm the substantial body when used on elements controlled or produced by Paramecia type devil fruit users, since the element is not actually a part of their body, as demonstrated by Treble. Devil fruit users are capable of using haki themselves. In fact, devil fruit users can use the 2 abilities together to make one or the other more effective. Armament haki cannot be used on attacks that are not from one's body except for weapons, but can be used on anything generated by one's devil fruit powers, like Kizaru's laser beams or Marco's phoenix flames. Charlotte Katakuri has shown that one does not even need to be in direct contact with said substance to imbue their armament haki into it. Haki's capability to counter devil fruit users extends past Logia types and lets them defend against certain Paramecia effects. However, this is dependent on the strength of the haki, as Law bypassed Virgo's haki and bifurcated him easily by using his devil fruit technique. If you don't know what that word means, don't worry. I didn't either. I had to look it up and it still confused me. The easiest way I can describe it to you guys, because I saw the episode and read it in the manga, is cutting somebody in half at the waist. I don't understand why people can't use simple terms. Anyways, Haki's ability to counter devil fruit users extends past and by easily using devil fruit techniques, although it is unknown if Law used his own haki to overcome Virgo's haki. Now, some drawbacks. When 2 opponents using armament haki clash, the one with the stronger armament haki is likely to be victorious. This can make it difficult to overcome an opponent's haki in brute force battle. However, superior armament haki is not an absolute defense and can be overcome as long as the other opponent has superior physical strength. Luffy was able to damage Katakuri with Gear 4 despite the latter noting that his own armament haki was superior. Significant physical force can also overcome this defense even if it comes from someone that does not know how to use armament haki. For example, Luffy during the Amazon Lily arc struck Boa Marigold hard enough with Gear 2 techniques that it sent her reeling, even though at that time he had no conscious control over any haki. Armament haki is subjected to depletion if used for long periods of time, and is said to be proportional to the amount of spiritual life force an individual possesses, as well as their remaining stamina. After the threshold is reached, the user will be unable to use it for a certain amount of time. It appears that the more haki is used, the faster it will deplete. The users are unable to use haki until they regain their stamina to use it again. While armament haki is extremely good at defending against blunt strikes, its effectiveness may be diminished against piercing strikes, although this does depend on the skill of the user. However, while armament haki protects the surface of the user, it does not provide any protection for the insides, which leaves the user vulnerable for attacks that pressure and hurt one's internal organs and bones. This may leave the user in a broken state and, without any regenerative abilities, unable to fight or move. Alright, and the second form of haki we will be discussing is observation haki. Now, observation haki is a form of haki that grants the user a sixth sense that allows them to sense the presence, strength, and emotions of others, as well as gain limited precognitive abilities. In Skypiea, armament haki is known as mantra, literally meaning mind rope. Now, some background. Observation haki was first used in the series by Blackbeard in the Jaya arc. There we go. He noticed that Monkey D. Luffy's strength did not correspond to his known bounty of 30 million berries at the time, further commenting on Luffy's own haki after Bellamy's defeat. In the Impel Down arc, Blackbeard confirmed to Luffy himself that he had measured the latter's haki at the time. In the Skypiea arc, it was introduced under the name Mantra during Satori's ordeal of balls. It varied in strength between users, with Enel seeming to have the greatest range with his devil fruit, the Goru Goru no Mi. Enel could pick up an electroreceptor signals in the atmosphere by using his devil fruit to read the airwaves, allowing him to overhear conversations and everything around him. This extended the range of his mantra to cover roughly all of Skypiea. By comparison, most of the other priests could only keep track of people nearby. Isa is the only known Shandian who has this ability. The first time it is seen being used and referred to as haki was during Luffy's battle on Amazon Lily with the Gorgon sisters. Later, Silver's Rayleigh explained haki to Luffy and confirmed that mantra and haki are one and the same, and that mantra is simply Skypiea's name for the ability. That is disrespectful. Can you guys get injured and light fires on your own time, please? Inconsiderate. Now, some of the known observation haki users. We have Boa Hancock and her sisters, Sandor Sonia and Marigold, Marshall D. Teach, Monkey D. Luffy, Silver's Rayleigh, Zoro, Sanji, Usopp, Katakuri, Shanks, Mihawk, Trafalgar Law, Marco, Jozu, Vista, Jinbei, Crocus, Bellamy, Jesus Burgess, Pecoms, Tamago, Kuzan, Doflamingo. The list goes on. Most of the people who we see in the beginning of the show who are still there in this post time skip have observation haki, and then most people who are introduced post time skip also have observation haki. So that includes most of the Charlotte family. It includes most of the Marines, the world government, certain citizens such as Shirahoshi and Rebecca have it. Isa has it. The Revolutionary Army, the Chief of Staff Sabo, and then the 4 captains all have it. And then the priests from Skypiea also have it. Now, usage. The usage of this type of haki grants its user the ability to access a kind of extrasensory perception, granting the user several helpful abilities. These abilities are great assets in most occasions, especially in combat. Observation haki, unlike the other types of haki, has hardly any visible indication when being used in the manga, like the blackening effect of hardening for armament haki or the ripple effect for Conqueror's haki. Aside from their enhanced dodge rate in the anime special Heart of Gold, anime movie One Piece Film Z, and Sen's Whole Cake Island arc, those who were able to use observation haki were shown with bright red pupils when sensing incoming attacks, hitting opponents, or seeing slightly into the future. According to Charlotte Katakuri, observation haki works best if the user is in a calm state. Observation haki was works independently from the physical senses. This was proven through Kinemon after his body was split apart by Law, when his legs and torso acted independently, relying solely on Haki for guidance. Now, in the One Piece film Red, which I haven't seen yet, when the pirates and marines fought top Musica in both the real and Uta world, observation Haki users were shown to somehow sync with blood relatives, allowing them to see what the other was seeing. Katakuri first demonstrated this by syncing with Charlotte Brule, though he only saw the other side, with Brule apparently not. Later, Usopp and Yasop managed to sync and also somehow were able to communicate with each other. This allowed both attacking forces to synchronize their attacks to defeat the Demon Lord. I feel like that was a little bit of spoilers for me. It doesn't matter, I'm gonna love the movie regardless. Now, some of the abilities that observation Haki grants, starting with presence sensing. The most common usage of this Haki allows the users to sense the presence of others. Rayleigh states that to fully master this ability would be to allow the user to see others even if they are concealed from view or too far away to see naturally. This type of Haki allows the user to see another person through their aura, be it behind buildings, strategically hidden, or camouflaged. Given this, observation Haki, depending on the level, can discover who is hidden but still present. When viewed this way, the user cannot actually see the person or animal with any physical characteristics, but rather recognizes the target by their aura, which is a mental image of a colored silhouette of them on a dark background, as demonstrated when Usopp sniped Sugar, or how the blind Fujitora sees the world. Characters who use observation Haki often describe the presence as voices, and can usually tell if a specific person are still alive, dead, or close to death, depending on whether they can hear them. We see this used with 𝚗𝚗 in the 𝙲𝚘𝚙𝚅 arc, when she can hear people's voices being extinguished when they die. So that's a good example of that. In the unique circumstance of being swallowed by a large creature and still being alive, the mantra user will only be able to sense the larger energy signature. Similarly, a mantra user trapped inside a large creature is unable to sense what is happening outside. Again, in the 𝙲𝚘𝚅 arc, when Luffy, Nami, Gongfall, and 𝚗𝚗 are all eaten by the big snake, Enel, who has observation Haki, thinks that, oh, they've died, they are gone, and 𝚗𝚗 can no longer sense anybody else from outside because they are inside of the snake. Now, in the unique circumstance of being swallowed by a larger creature and still being alive, the mantra user will only be able to sense the larger and strength sensing. This application of Haki allows the user to measure the strength of the people whose presence they sense. This usage of Haki is useful in finding powerful auras. Through this application, the user can easily locate powerful allies and avoid powerful enemies. This ability can also be utilized to measure the Haki of others. Blackbeard confirmed this during his raid on Impel Down when he mentioned that Monkey D. Luffy's own Haki was greater than it was during their previous meeting in Jaya. Other characters have been shown using this specific application are Bellamy, Kobe, Basil Hawkins, Page 1, and Ulti. Now, we also have emotion sensing. This variation of observation Haki allows the user to sense and empathize with the emotions and natures of others. For example, Otohime, who is Shida Hoshi's mom, she was a goldfish mermaid. Yeah, a goldfish mermaid married to King Neptune. She was the queen of Fishman Island. She uses this Haki to sense the suffering and emotions in the heart of the Fishman thief, as well as hear the screams coming from Fisher Tiger's heart. Another example is that 𝚗𝚗 was able to sense Wiper's aggressive nature with this Haki. In addition, Fujitora sensed no trace of resentment from the citizens of Dressrosa, discovering that they were putting on a facade to help the Straw Hats escape. However, this ability is not flawless, with people with high control over their emotions and acting abilities can somewhat counter this technique. An example of this is Squard, Pudding, or Kanjuro, who are able to fool very proficient users of observation Haki like Whitebeard, Sanji, or the rest of the 9 red scabbards. I will not get into Kanjuro on that whatsoever. I will get into Squard, though. We see Squard hide his true intentions to be able to stab Whitebeard when he believes that Whitebeard has betrayed all of the allied pirates that came to help rescue Ace. meaning that he either has very good acting skills or Whitebeard in his weakened state could no longer sense Squard's true intentions. We see Pudding pull this off because she is just an amazing actress who can hide her true intentions very, very well. She fools Sanji, a very proficient user of observation haki, almost completely until he himself hears her admit the plot to kill him. And like I said, I'm not going to get into Kanjuro because that is just straight up spoilers to people who are not there yet. Now, when someone awakens this ability unconsciously, they become vulnerable to passively empathizing with the negative emotions of others without having proper mental fortitude. This can be a traumatic experience for the user, especially in the context of several people dying, as the user will passively empathize with the strong emotions of fear, pain, and hate, which is how Issa gets so scared and terrified during the entire fight when she is hearing all of the voices going out. She is terrified because she can feel all of their pain, fear, sadness, anger, all of it. Now, intent sensing. Another variation of observation haki allows its user to sense another person's intent to act in the immediate future, especially through bloodlust killing intent within combat, allowing them to predict what someone is going to do, usually seconds prior, in what resembles a pseudo form of precognition. However, it should not be confused with the actual literal ability to see into the future, which we will get into in a second, requires another level of skill entirely. Naturally, this predictive application of haki is highly helpful in battle, as the user, depending on their level of proficiency, may have vastly easier time predicting the path of enemy attacks to either dodge or counter them. The more killing intent exuded by a given enemy, the more predictable their attacks. Although great enough, observation haki experts can predict enemy moves whether there is murderous intent or not. Of course, since conscious intent has to be present for one to sense it with haki, any actions that are done unconsciously or with complete indiscrimination cannot be predicted. Luffy, during his fight with Enel, was able to counter the latter's observation haki by delivering attacks in random, uncontrolled directions. Yet another way to counter predictive observation haki is by simply being so fast that even if an enemy can predict one's attacks, they cannot dodge it in time. Now, the advanced technique, which is essentially just future vision. Now, a highly advanced level of observation haki allows the user to see a short period into the future instead of just sensing what will happen by intuition. The user of this advanced level of observation haki can literally see a precise mental image of what will happen in the next few seconds. This vision also allows the user to hear any words that will be spoken. Contrary to basic haki, there is no need to sense emotions or intention to use this technique. According to Rayleigh, this ability is very difficult for someone to obtain via training. It has to be learned by advancing their haki in the heat of battle against strong opponents. So far, only Katakuri, Monkey D. Luffy, and Kaido have been able to use it, with I think Katakuri being one of the more proficient users. However, maybe not as skilled as Kaido. I think he can see farther into the future than Kaido can. Don't quote me on that, though. This advanced haki ability has been proven to be an effective countermeasure against armament haki for Devil Fruit users whose powers grant shapeshifting abilities such as Logia or special paramecias. With armament haki, with observation haki, they can foresee their opponent's attacks and quickly change the shape of their bodies to avoid contact. Katakuri is a great user of this tactic, as he forms holes in his mochi body so that attacks pass through empty air without actually touching him, giving the impression that not even armament haki works on him, while in reality the attack simply does not make any contact at all. Only another user of observation haki of equal proficiency or distraction can counter this ability. This application does not have limitations. Unlike basic observation haki, the user needs to properly focus and remain calm in order to use this ability. If this user is not concentrating enough, or they are in an agitated state of mind, they may be unable to see the future. In addition, the user can only interpret the future through their own senses. Katakuri foresaw his sister Pudding crying and collapsing to her knees on the altar, but because he was too far away from her, he could not hear what was about to be said, and thus had no way of knowing what was about to cause this. Furthermore, the future that the user sees can be changed, which could result in an outcome that the user failed to foresee. Charlotte Katakuri was able to see Sanji dodging another person's gunshot and tried to intervene by attacking Sanji himself. However, he was unable to see the outcome of his own intervention of this event, resulting in Sanji surprising him when he dodged his attack as well. Moreover, it is possible for an enemy to exploit its negative reaction from the user, as it can be treated as assurance that a desirable outcome will happen. Now, some drawbacks of observation Haki. This type of Haki is also known to falter if the user loses their concentration. Satori from Skypiea lost control of his mantra when Luffy unexpectedly brought the stream of exploding balls right to him, enabling Luffy to grab him from behind when the smoke cleared. Gidatsu lost to Chopper because he lost his concentration and his mantra faltered, and Otohime was killed by a gunshot in the confusion when her petition pages were being burned, as she was caught off guard due to her happiness with everyone signing her petition. She lost her concentration. There is also a problem with the opposite being hyper-focused during battle, as it causes tunnel vision on particular opponent and prevents the user from sensing other threats. Luffy, a user of advanced observation Haki, demonstrated this twice, once during his battle with Katakuri when 𝙲𝚘𝚙𝚒𝚝 managed to land a blow on him during their fight, and once against Kaido when a CP0 agent intervened in their duel. Now, while observation Haki is very effective against the living and things affected by the conscious thought of the living, such as the enemy's weapon, its effect is limited against the unconscious, such as purely random things or what is affected by reflexes, as shown when Luffy fought Enel. In this specific instance, Luffy turned around, punched a wall, and let his fists fly randomly behind him. It is also limited in sensing things with no intent at all, such as the environment, as shown with Kinemon whilst his body was separated. His torso and legs were able to move and accurately attack independently thanks to Haki, but still ended up stumbling occasionally, with his torso being unable to sense the lake and falling into it. Even the blind Fujitora still requires a cane to navigate his surroundings, despite being able to use Haki to accurately pinpoint the location of other people and differentiate between them. Additionally, particularly fast opponents can give observation Haki users trouble when they are able to sense the incoming attack but still unable to dodge it. This applies to the users of advanced observation Haki. It is revealed that, like armament Haki, observation Haki can be depleted if used too much. Alright, and the final and most advanced form of Haki is Conqueror's Haki. Now, Conqueror's Haki is a rare form of Haki that allows the user to exert their own willpower over others. This type of Haki cannot be attained through training, and only 1 in several million people are born with this ability. Garp insinuates that this is also an inherited ability, so which means some cool little lore information there. Either Monkey D. Dragon, Monkey D. Garp, or Garp's father had Conqueror's Haki, because Luffy has it, and if it's inherited, somebody in his family must also have it. Now, it is said that whoever possesses this type of Haki has the qualities of a king and are known as supreme rulers. Conqueror's Haki is considered an extremely dangerous threat and a high valuable asset by powerful groups such as Marine Admirals and the Four Emperors. Now, some background. It was first demonstrated by Shanks when he used it to scare off the Lord of the Coast in the first 5 or 6 episodes of the anime, in the first 10 chapters of the manga, though it was not fully explained and revealed. Later on, during a meeting with Whitebeard, he used it to knock out most of the crew, which the few still standing attributed to his superior Haki. Luffy first displayed the effects of this type of Haki against Duval's bull, Motobaro, much to everyone's confusion. He displayed it again on Amazon Lily while battling Sandersonia and Marigold, knocking out a large portion of the audience observing the match. This is also the first time it is referred to by name. Luffy also used it to knock out the wolves attacking him in Bon Clay and Impel down, although he was poisoned badly by Magellan at the time and still had no control over it. Luffy exhibiting it during the Summit War of Marineford was enough for Marine Admirals to become wary enough of him that they prioritized his elimination afterwards. After the time skip, Luffy is proficient enough to tame monsters as well as knock out a select group of individuals without affecting any of the bystanders by using his Conqueror's Haki, displaying his newfound proficiency in the skill. Luffy was even able to use it while unconscious. It has been implied a number of times that this Haki is based on lineage. Doberman, for example, noted that Luffy possessing Conqueror's Haki made sense since he is the son of Monkey D. Dragon, the leader of the Revolutionary Army. It is later shown that Portgas D. Ace, Charlotte Katakuri, and Yamato also possess this Haki type just like their parents, Roger, Big Mom, and Kaido respectively. However, not all children from the same parent are born with Conqueror's Hakis, such as Doflamingo and Boa Hancock, and Katakuri are the only ones among their siblings to possess it. It has been shown that when two users of Haki of a Conqueror's Haki clash, it causes a rippling shockwave effect, crackling the air similar to the Gura Gura no Mi, the tremor fruit used by Whitebeard. This is simply referred to as a Conqueror's Clash, or Supreme Ruler Color Clash. This shockwave from the Conqueror's Haki clash between Luffy and Shinjao was strong enough to blast people out of the Colosseum arena into the water below. The Conqueror's Haki clash between Luffy and Doflamingo produced shockwaves that pushed Treble and Law's incapacitated body away from them. During a battle between Gold D. Roger and Edward Newgate, the Conqueror's Haki clash between these two legendary pirates resulted in a massive shockwave that spread across the island and nearly capsized the enormous ship the Moby Dick. Now, are known Conqueror's Haki users: Shanks, Monkey D. Luffy, Silvers Rayleigh, Boa Hancock, Don Quixote Doflamingo, Don Chinjiao, Charlotte Linlin, Charlotte Katakuri, Eustace Kid, Sengoku, who is the only Marine that we know of to have Conqueror's Haki, Kaido, Roronoa Zoro, Yamato. Deceased users include Edward Newgate, Portcullis D. Ace, Kozuki Odin, and Gold D. Roger. Now, usage. This type of Haki grants the user the ability to dominate the wills of others. Unlike the other types of Haki, Conqueror's Haki cannot be attained through training. Instead, its users must be born with the ability and can only learn to control it after discovering that they have it. Only 1 in several million people are born with this Haki. Portcullis D. Ace was shown to be unwittingly using Conqueror's Haki at the age of 10. Additionally, Conqueror's Haki cannot be strengthened through direct use like the other two forms of Haki. Rather, the user can increase their force of will by becoming physically stronger. Thus, the ability can manifest at a young age. Conqueror's Haki users generally do not consciously manifest and make full use of their abilities until adulthood. The ability to affect someone depends on the Haki user having greater strength of will than the person the Haki is being used against. The greater the power gap, the more easily the victim will succumb. Those with stronger wills can resist or even ignore the effects of Conqueror's Haki. Now, some of the basic techniques, starting with Dominion. Conqueror's Haki can be used to temporarily dominate the psyche of others and intimidate them. This has been most explicitly shown against animals with users of Conqueror's Haki, causing them to either become fearful and flee or become docile for a brief period, with both effects happening instantly. This domination may end up resulting in the victim losing consciousness a short time later, as shown by Motobaru. Additionally, the Kraken Tsurume was shown obeying commands from Luffy after being intimidated by a glare from him. But the overall degree of control that Conqueror's Haki users can assert over animals is purely with this Haki is unclear. Now, this technique's effect on humans and other races of equivalent intelligence is currently rather ambiguous. On Amazon Lily, when Luffy unleashed Conqueror's Haki while shouting at Boa Marigold and Boa Sanderson to stop attacking their petrified countrywoman, the two sisters were shown to be taken aback by the outburst and ultimately obeyed his command, although it is unclear whether their actions were unconsciously influenced by this Conqueror's Haki usage to any degree. In other instances, people in the vicinity of Conqueror's Haki usage whose wills are strong enough to avoid incapacitation have not demonstrated much indication of being dominated by the user's will. While Conqueror's Haki users are almost always shown in high-ranking leadership positions, it remains unknown if this Haki plays any sort of role in their ability to attract followers, other than people who consciously follow Conqueror's Haki users out of admiration for the Haki, like Doflamingo's executives. Of course, since Conqueror's Haki users are stated to have the qualities of a king, they are naturally expected to possess the personality traits that make them effective leaders. Shanks has shown the ability to unleash his Conqueror's Haki from a considerable distance to intimidate individuals such as Marine Admiral Ryokugyo, also known as Green Bull. Upon being hit with this Conqueror's Haki, Ryokugyo appeared to be in pain and almost paralyzed by the force. In addition, Shanks seemed to be able to communicate with Ryokugyo somewhat through his Haki. Now, moving on to the incapacitation power. By overpowering the will of those around them to an even greater degree, the Conqueror's Haki user is capable of knocking people and animals in their vicinity unconscious. Whether or not a person is rendered unconscious depends on the degree of their strength in comparison to the users. Generally, normal citizens and common soldiers and pirates are most likely to be knocked out by Conqueror's Haki, whereas people established to be capable, powerful, and strong-willed are far less likely to fall victim. Oda has stated that anyone who is knocked out by Conqueror's Haki is essentially not worth fighting the user directly. People who just barely have enough willpower to withstand a Conqueror's Haki user have shown to become lightheaded and are forced to concentrate in order to remain conscious. And although sufficiently powerful people can resist this power without issue, they're still able to sense the Haki being used. The greater the strength, the will, and willpower that a Conqueror's Haki user possesses, the more people they are capable of incapacitating. Sufficiently powerful Conqueror's Haki users are capable of going up against large hordes of enemies and incapacitating most, if not all of them, in an instant. It is even possible to knock out tens of thousands of enemies at once, as demonstrated by Luffy, who knocked out 50,000 members of the new Fishman Pirates. According to Oda, Shanks and Rayleigh could have easily knocked out all 100,000. Unknowing or inexperienced Conqueror's Haki users frequently first manifest this ability unconsciously by shouting at those around them, with the intent of trying to get them to stop doing something, and their release of Conqueror's Haki will tend to indiscriminately impact everyone in their vicinity who is weak-willed enough. With training, a Conqueror's Haki user is capable of incapacitating people by simply looking intently at them, or even by just walking past them. Sufficiently skilled Conqueror's Haki users can also limit the effect of their Haki when using it in a crowded space, being capable of choosing not to knock out certain people. Additionally, Conqueror's Haki users have demonstrated the ability to incapacitate others while unconscious, with their spirit remaining unyielding even as their body gives out. Now, pressure. If used with sufficient degree of power, Conqueror's Haki is capable of damaging inanimate objects and structures in the user's vicinity. This was first shown when Shanks used Conqueror's Haki on the Moby Dick to such a degree that not only knocked out some of the Whitebeard pirates around him, but also cracked some of the wood composing the ship, which had withstood the incredible harsh sailing conditions of the New World since the era of Gold D. Roger more than 2 decades prior. When Conqueror's Haki users clash, they will generate black lightning, thin streams of black with red energy that crackle. This energy will often stretch up high enough to be seen from anywhere on the island where the clash is taking place. This effect was first demonstrated and noted when Luffy and Chinzhou clashed in the Corridor Coliseum. Additionally, the force of Conqueror's Haki clash will create shockwaves that will shake the surrounding area and can even blow away nearby people and objects. When Goldie, Roger, and Whitebeard, 2 advanced Conqueror's Haki users who are among the most powerful people to ever live, clashed, the resulting impact blew back all of the flora and fauna on the entire island and even exerted tremendous force on the ships on the coast. When Kaido fought Big Mom for half a day, Kaido's subordinates were extremely concerned that they would destroy the fortress they were in, and even the entire island of Onigashima in the course of their long battle. Additionally, Conqueror's Haki clashes between particularly powerful individuals have resulted in a massive rift in the sky above them, known as splitting the heavens. So far, this has only been witnessed with Whitebeard versus Shanks, Kaido versus Big Mom, and Roger versus Whitebeard, and Kaido versus Luffy. Now, we're going to get into the advanced techniques known as infusion. A very small number of particularly powerful Conqueror's Haki users, stated to only be a handful by Kaido, are able to infuse their body and weapons with this Haki in a way that is very similar to armament Haki, greatly augmenting the power of their attacks. After infusing themselves with Conqueror's Haki, this Haki is emitted from the part it is focused in the form of black lightning, as seen with Roger's Ace, Newgate's Murakumogiri, Kaido's Hasaikai, Big Mom's Fist, Luffy's Fist and Legs, Yamato's Takeru, Zoro's Enma, Wado Ichimonji and Sundai Kitetsu, and Rayleigh's entire body. This application provides an immense boost in power. It allowed Luffy to clash evenly against Kaido, the man known as the strongest living creature in the world. He was able to strike Kaido without making physical contact with him and even deal him damage, whereas his earlier use of armament Haki enhanced attacks were too shallow and had no significant effect. Luffy was also able to use this application to deflect Kaido's Kanabo with a stick, whereas the best he could do with this highly trained armament Haki was barely block a strike from the Kanabo with both arms, and his arms were left in pain afterwards. All users so far are extremely skilled in armament Haki, which can also be used in conjunction with Conqueror's Haki to augment Conqueror's Haki infusion to augment their overall effectiveness. The advanced armament Haki application of damaging objects without making physical contact with them has often been seen with people using Conqueror's Haki infusion, but it should not be taken as a sign of Conqueror's Haki infusion by itself, as shown that the infused objects can make physical contact with what they strike. So far, Gold D. Roger, Edward Newgate, Kaido, Monkey D. Luffy, Charlotte Linling Yamato, Roronoa Zoro, and Silver's Rayleigh have been seen infusing Conqueror's Haki. Now, we have the most rare form Conqueror's Haki, advanced Conqueror's Haki, known as observation killing. Observation killing is an advanced Conqueror's Haki technique which allows the user to control one's own aura or presence, negating an opponent's ability to see into the future with their observation Haki. This technique is only briefly mentioned so far, with Shanks being the only known confirmed user. Alright guys, that's going to be it for the video today. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me to the end. I know this was a long one, packed full of information. I learned a bunch of new stuff. I hope you guys did too. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. It means the world to me every single time you guys do. If you guys could like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, it helps me as a small YouTuber trying to get my name out there. You guys know I love you, and as always, I will see you in the next one. Peace.